Hello everyone, Gaming Smiley here, and welcome to my review of Halloween 3, which is which is the only one that's not got to do with Michael Myers. It's all about masks. That's basically it. It's all about masks. 3 in particular, a witch one, pumpkin one, and a skeleton one. But yeah, the story this time is a bit strange in comparison to Halloween 1 and 2, when it was just about a mass murderer who, killed people. But this time it's about masks and magic and spooky shit. But yeah, basically it's a guy called Dan has to stop some evil shit from happening to do with masks. But yeah, that's all you get in the non-spoiler part. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. Also, this was directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, and the last time I mentioned him was the It miniseries review. You know, that one. When it was Tim Curry. But yeah. Music was also done by John Carpenter and Alan Howarth. Alan Howarth will go later on to do the rest of the Halloween series until Rob Zombie took over. But yeah, well, I think he done up to 6 actually now I think about it. So 3 more. But yeah, time for me to start talking spoilers. And yeah, this film starts off with a guy almost getting killed. Basically he's running from a car. We don't know why, but he runs into a guy who's in a suit who tries to kill him. But there's this block that he pulls out from under a car wheel and it crushes the guy. And anyway, he runs off, finds a security guard and tells him that they're coming to kill him, basically. But also on the news, there's a bit of Stonehenge that's been taken. Yeah, told you it gets a little bit fucky because this comes in later. But yeah, so there's this ad for the mask company called Silver Shamrock, and it's the music gets quite irritating with this because it's just happy Halloween, 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 happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock, and then this many days till Halloween, and basically go get your masks. Masks don't look that great, but to be fair, they're kind of like these ones, they're meant to be sold in general stores. So yeah, they're not the best looking masks. But yeah, basically Dan is a doctor, and the guy that I just mentioned that's been running around, his name's Harry. And Harry ends up going to hospital, and he tells Dan that there's a shit ton of trouble going to happen. But after that, he gets killed. He gets killed in his hospital bed by another guy in a suit. And that guy in the suit goes to his car, pours himself in fucking gasoline, and then lights himself on fire, which obviously blows up the car as well. No evidence and all that. But yeah. So Dan goes to a bar. Well, after he sees his kids. But anyway, he calls, I should have said it's the 23rd of October. It doesn't start on Halloween. Remember I said that in Halloween Part 2 that the entire franchise was supposed to be entirely different stories, but the only thing that connected them was that they were on Halloween. Yeah, well, it begins on the 23rd. Then it's the 27th, which all that happens is Dan flirts with a nurse called Teddy, and she comes into play later. But then it's the 29th, and Dan's at a bar, and there's a trailer for the original Halloween. So yeah, that completely distances it from the original Halloween. Completely distances it because, it's a movie in that universe, like in Scream. But yeah. Then there's the ad, the really annoying ad that I told you about, and he's not very happy about it. And anyway, after that, Dan meets Harry's daughter, and she goes to the bar because she's been told that he's basically an alcoholic, and that he goes there frequently. So she wants to go find him to go and find out how her dad died, because it wasn't natural how he died. But yeah, so they end up going to the Silver Shamrock factory, which is probably a few hours away. They meet a bunch of people. There's actually this town where people live and it's to do with the Silver Shamrock factory. It's built by the guy that owns the factory, called Cochrane. Well, his surname's Cochrane, but yeah. So basically, there's not much happens here. He just meets a few people that live here, including a family that has a child called Buddy. They don't have a very good future in mind. But yeah. So they find out that basically there's a uncredited Jamie Lee Curtis cameo. Basically, she speaks over the. Basically, there's all these speakers that are around, and it's basically a tannoy that's saying about the curfew and to go to bed, to go to their own places, and they go, and there's this other guy who shows up. Right, I wrote his name down. Starker, that's his name. Starker tells him that basically Cochrane's a bad guy, and that he's evil, and blah blah blah. But then he gets killed. He gets killed by Dick Warlock, who's one of the people in Suits. And Dick Warlock was in the last Halloween as Michael Myers. But yeah. So after that, Dan and Harry's daughter get really close. Her name's Ellie. I should have mentioned that. She's played by Stacey Netkin, and Dan's played by Tom Atkins. Should have said that before. But yeah, basically they get really close, and she disappears later, and he tries to call the police, but there isn't a phone line. It's been cut, and then she gets kidnapped, and Dan tries to escape, and but this is after this. But anyway, before that, it's the 30th of October. Well, it's still the 20th. I forgot to mention about Marge's death. Marge is someone who's there, and she gets one of the masks, and the Silver Shamrock pin that's on the back falls off. She starts tinkering with it, and it blasts her head off. Well, it blasts her face off, like here. Like, boom. That's just now blood and bits. And she dies, obviously. And, yeah. So, there's also a bug that crawls out. And this will be shown much later as to what actually happened. You won't believe it. But, yeah. So, back at where Dan lives. Sorry, I got a pencil. It's blowing. But back where Dan lived. Teddy is looking over the dead guy's parts. Turns out he's made of plastic and metal. And, yeah. She tells that to Dan. And then he gets a tour of the Silver Shamrock factory with the Employee of the Month, taken by Cochrane through the place. And that's in processing. There's a bit in processing where it's also the 30th. It's the next day, just before Halloween. But basically they go around, and there's this one area that they won't get shown, and that's where they put the Silver Shamrock pins together and put them on the mask. But yeah. So he ends up. This is the part I was talking about where he tries to call the police, and then Ellie goes missing, and there's a group of those guys in suits, and he escapes out of a window, and runs to the factory where he walks into an android granny, and he accidentally knocks her head off, but it's fake. Apparently she's hundreds of years old, that one. But anyway, Dan and Dick Warlock get into a fight, and but Dan punches right through his stomach, because it turns out he's a robot, which runs on orange juice, so I think probably pumpkin juice, because it's Halloween. But yeah, he ends up pulling his wires out, and then it's Halloween, Not yet. Right. So basically, it's a test. We get shown a test where what happens with the masks, and the entire point of this entire thing. Turns out the silver shamrock pins are powered by the Stonehenge piece. Told you, magic and shit. But anyway, it makes kids' heads rot when the ad is played while they're wearing the mask on Halloween. Because there's a certain ad they're going to play on Halloween at about 9 o'clock. And when that plays, their heads just like rot and like bugs and snakes come out. This happens to Buddy Jr. And the employee of the month is his dad. And his dad and his mum are in there too. She faints and he screams. Then we just cut away. It was fine. They're dead, obviously. But after this, it's about when we get the whole entire. Remember the thing at 9. But anyway, at 9, the nurse Teddy is killed with a power drill. Well, no, actually, nothing to do with 9. Basically, Teddy is killed with a power drill by one of the guys in the suits, and Dan ends up saving Ellie, and he tosses a bunch of shamrock buttons when the ad is playing at 9. We also get a shot with a bunch of kids, and they're just buying the masks, which doesn't make fucking sense because there's only 3 of them. So like, why would there's got to be some other form of mask. You can't just have 3 masks. But because like whenever you go to a shop that sells the masks, they have more than 3. Even normal supermarkets only have more than 3. Even the places down the road that used to sell masks on Halloween sold more than 3 at a time. But yeah. Anyway, all these kids are going out and they're buying the same 3 fucking masks, and in different states, and it doesn't kind of work with the whole entire at 9 thing, considering time works like different time zones. But whatever, bit of a plot hole. That's why it's kind of 6. Plus, it's a bit daft. But anyway, so Dan ends up saving Ellie, as I said, tosses a bunch of shamrock buttons while the ad is playing, and he kills all the henchmen in the room. And then the Stonehenge starts to glow. The bit of Stonehenge that's missing starts to glow, and starts to glow. And then there's the buttons all start glowing, and they start going in a circle. And basically, what ends up happening next is Cochrane gets blasted by both of these beams. He basically explains the entire plot before, though, when he tries to kill Dan with a mask. But that's a bad idea for getting him to wait till you play it on actual TV. But they could have stopped Dan from doing everything if they just, killed him or played the ad while he had the mask on, just in that room. But no, like what they did with the kid. But no, they don't do that, and Dan manages to get the skeleton mask off, and that's when he does the whole saving thing. But basically explain that Halloween has been taken for granted. It isn't the same way anymore. There used to be human sacrifices and shit in like Celtic times. Basically, that's the entire thing. Just there was human sacrifices then. There hasn't been human sacrifices for a while, so this is going to be a human sacrifice. The whole entire thing of children dying across America. But anyway, Cochrane gets beamed. He goes white, like paper white, and then he fucking disappears, like the fucking Invisible Man. But he's dead though. Anyway, Dan tries to get Ellie away, but Ellie turns out to be a fucking robot, and she tries to kill him in the car, which causes Dan to crash into a tree, and then he decapitates her. Decapitates her with a tire iron. Gets the tire iron and he hits over there with it, and her head comes off, and you think it's done. But no, her body gets up and puts her hand on him and tries to kill him, but it doesn't work. Dan just runs away. Then he runs to a phone, which was the same place at the beginning where Harry was running to. And he basically calls up a bunch of stations, telling them to stop playing the Halloween ad. And but like 2 of them them stop playing it, and then the third one won't stop playing it, and that's how it ends, with him screaming, "Stop it!" Like a fucking madman. But anyway, bunch of kids are dead. That's how it ends. Just dead children. And the ad has stopped playing on like 2 TV stations. So yeah, the bad guys are dead, but so are a bunch of children. So it's not really a win-win, or it's more of a lose-lose situation. You know, like the bad guys are dead, but the heroes didn't quite win, because there's a bunch of dead children there. But yeah, that's basically the entire thing about Halloween 3. But this didn't receive a very good rap back in the 80s when it came out in 83, because at the time, like, the third movie with Jason being the killer in Friday the 13th became a thing, and it was kind of the thing that if you had a certain, like, slasher, you know, like you have Michael Myers, who appeared in the first one and in the second one, it was kind of expected for the third one, even if they supposedly died, that they would be back. And, well, Halloween didn't make as much of a bad mistake as Friday the 13th did with Part 5, but, you know, where it turned out was something different, with someone different. But but Halloween 3, it's alright. It's not that bad. Could be a little bit less ridiculous. You know, could have just been guy made just a bunch of buttons with a like small power source instead of Stonehenge and magic. But you know, it's fine. Whatever, it's done. But if you want to give it a look, give it a look. I mean, there is more to it than what I'm saying. I'm just giving you the brief stuff, because I kind of want to move on to Michael Myers again, because the next 3 Michael Myers movies, they aren't that great. The next one is basically a repeat of the first one, and then after that it just gets all weird shit. Basically weird shit starts happening in like the next 2, and then it gets rebooted, and then the 2 films happen, and then it gets rebooted. Blah, you know, whatever. That just happens. But anyway, hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. If you didn't, you do. If you're new here and you want to help me out, why not the subscribe button, and I'll hopefully see you next time. And if you want notifications, you got to hit the bell, because that's a thing. And goodbye.